Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the most intriguing narratives unfolding within the British royal family. Today, we embark on a fascinating and frankly rather poignant journey to one of the Crown's most enchanting, yet increasingly troubled properties, Royal Lodge. This isn't just a story about bricks and mortar. It's a tale of fading grandeur, immense financial strain, and an extraordinary act of loyalty that has captivated observers for months. Before we fully immerse ourselves in this unfolding drama, I'd be most grateful if you could take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you these in-depth explorations of the monarchy's most compelling stories. At first glance, Royal Lodge appears to have sprung directly from the pages of a cherished storybook. Picture it. Majestic turrets reaching towards the sky, expansive, sweeping rose gardens that burst with color and fragrance, and that truly breathtaking half-mile approach, winding gracefully through the ancient, awe-inspiring trees of the Windsor Great Park. It is, without a doubt, the quintessential image of a royal residence, the very sort of place where one effortlessly imagines members of the monarchy gliding serenely through a seemingly charmed, almost idyllic existence. It whispers of history, of tradition, and of an uninterrupted legacy of regal elegance. Yet, as with so many captivating narratives, the reality beyond those exquisitely ornate wrought iron gates is far more complex, and indeed rather more somber than the fairy tale facade suggests. Step inside, and the illusion begins to unravel with disquieting speed. The once luxurious silk wallpaper, now marred by unsightly patches of damp that spread like an unwelcome stain. The long gallery, a space designed for grand receptions and quiet contemplation, now features a series of buckets strategically placed to catch the relentless, rhythmic drip of water from above. Even more alarmingly, chunks of ancient stonework are visibly breaking loose from the venerable facade, a stark and undeniable testament to a deepening structural crisis. This is not by any stretch of the imagination a mere case of routine wear and tear, the gentle erosion of time. This magnificent 30-room mansion, a Grade 2 listed house boasting a rich and storied history that stretches back to the distant 17th century, is in fact deteriorating, slowly but inexorably, from within its very foundations. And who, you might ask, is now shouldering the formidable burden of funding these critical emergency repairs? One might naturally assume it would be a wealthy, anonymous patron, perhaps a philanthropic trust dedicated to preserving national heritage. But the truth is far more surprising and indeed deeply personal. It is Sarah, the Duchess of York, affectionately known to many simply as Fergie, who, despite her own well-documented and persistent financial challenges, has stepped into this breach. In a move that has generated considerable speculation and admiration, she has recently sold her last, truly significant personal property for a reported sum of $4.2 million. This raises a multitude of profound questions that lie at the very heart of this unfolding drama. How, one must ponder, did a royal residence of such historical significance, a dwelling once cherished and beloved by the Queen Mother herself for 5 decades, reach such a lamentable and precarious state of disrepair? And perhaps even more critically, why is Fergie, the former wife, the one now engaged in this seemingly Herculean effort to keep a prince, her former husband, within the walls of his palace? To truly comprehend the gravity of this situation, we must first turn our attention to the figures involved, because as you will soon discover, they are nothing short of staggering. Property specialists, those with a keen eye for the intricate economics of grand estates, estimate with sobering precision that Royal Lodge requires an astonishing sum of between £4 million and £5 million each and every year simply to maintain its habitability. This figure, mind you, represents merely the baseline cost of keeping the lights on and the structure from completely collapsing. It doesn't even begin to factor in the truly enormous capital-intensive expenses that loom large on the horizon. Imagine, for instance, the colossal undertaking of installing a completely new roof, or the equally daunting task of a comprehensive replumbing of its antiquated systems, many of which, incredibly, date back to the 1950s. The sheer scale of this challenge is, without exaggeration, extraordinary. This is not, as we must continually remind ourselves, merely a house. It is a vast, sprawling estate, an ecosystem of historical architecture and meticulously manicured grounds that demands constant, vigilant attention. The staff wages alone, covering the dedicated efforts of butlers, skilled gardeners, essential maintenance crews, and even a significantly reduced security team, can collectively total anywhere from £350 to a staggering $500,000 annually. Furthermore, the meticulous upkeep of the 21 acres of exquisitely landscaped lawns, the intricately shaped topiary, and the collection of rare and precious trees demands a further investment of at least £150,000 each year. Without this constant, specialized care, these magnificent grounds would, in a remarkably short span of time, swiftly become overgrown, unmanageable, and ultimately require even more costly and intensive intervention to restore them to their former glory. But the problems at Royal Lodge run deeper, extending far beyond the superficial. The insidious grip of damp has penetrated the very fabric of the building, permeating the venerable 19th century timbers, threatening their structural integrity. Meanwhile, the exterior stonework, a crucial element of the mansion's historical grandeur, is in urgent, critical need of approximately $1 million worth of expert repointing. The lease agreement itself, a legally binding document forged with the Crown Estate, meticulously stipulates that the exterior walls must be repainted every 5 years without fail. And the interiors, those grand and elegant spaces, redecorated every 7. Yet with a worrying lack of adherence to these crucial terms, Prince Andrew is already, by conservative estimates, at least a year behind on several of these fundamental obligations. The visible evidence of this neglect is stark and undeniable. Patches of black mold clinging stubbornly to the exterior and peeling paint that flakes away, revealing the layers of postponed maintenance beneath. These are not merely cosmetic issues. They are clear and present signals of years of deferred care, a backlog of necessary work that, if neglected further, could genuinely threaten the very structural integrity of this historic residence. In short, Royal Lodge is not simply an ordinary money pit. It is a vast, cavernous sinkhole of expenditure, an almost impossible financial burden to sustain in its current form. Where, then, is the money to come from? This is the central, agonizing question that hangs heavy over Royal Lodge. Prince Andrew's personal finances are, by most accounts, bleak, a stark contrast to the income streams he once enjoyed. His naval pension and the generous royal stipend he previously received both ceased after his withdrawal from public life, a decision that followed that disastrous and widely publicized interview in 2019. King Charles, his elder brother, meanwhile, has made it abundantly clear that he is steadfastly determined to reduce both the exorbitant cost and the overall size of the monarchy, a modernizing agenda that leaves little room for such lavish expenditures. In a decisive move, the king withdrew Andrew's substantial $3 million annual security provision, effectively leaving the Duke to make his own, extremely costly, arrangements. This has placed an extraordinary and almost unbearable financial strain upon him. The relationship between the brothers is, unsurprisingly, said to be considerably strained, with the king reportedly urging Andrew, with increasing insistence, to consider a far smaller, more manageable property. The suggestion has been Frogmore Cottage, a charming residence that currently sits empty and, crucially, is also far cheaper to maintain. But Andrew, with a resolve that borders on defiance, absolutely refuses to consider such a move. He clings tenaciously to the 75-year lease he painstakingly secured from his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, back in 2003. For this long-term agreement, he paid a premium of $1 million and, crucially, invested a substantial $7.5 million of his own funds into extensive refurbishments of the property. That lease, however, carries a significant and now burdensome obligation. It explicitly requires him to keep the property in good order. This responsibility, once perhaps easily absorbed, now weighs heavily upon him, particularly in the absence of the considerable income he once enjoyed from public engagements and royal duties. In this increasingly complex and financially precarious situation, the only consistent, indeed, the only truly tireless source of funds today appears to emanate from the remarkable efforts of Sarah Ferguson. The Duchess has, over the years, pursued a diverse array of ventures, including authoring charming children's books, launching engaging podcasts, and even dabbling in various wellness initiatives. Yet it must be acknowledged that her financial record has historically been uneven, punctuated by periods of significant challenge. She famously faced crippling debts amounting to millions in the 1990s, endured the precipice of near bankruptcy, and more recently, several organizations have distanced themselves following various controversies. Her recent decision to sell her Belgravia townhouse, a property reportedly intended as a strategic investment for her beloved daughters Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, has therefore prompted a considerable amount of speculation and raised many eyebrows. That Belgravia property was, in truth, far more than a mere investment. It was her perceived safety net, a tangible symbol of financial stability. Purchased in 2022 for $425 million, it represented a secure asset, offering a degree of reassurance during turbulent times. By choosing to sell it now for a sum of $42 million, she has effectively liquidated her most secure and liquid asset. Close confidants and friends suggest, with a quiet certainty, that every single penny of that sale is already firmly earmarked, already spoken for, and destined directly for the yawning financial chasm of Royal Lodge. The immediate priorities for this influx of funds are stark and urgent: the roof and the gables. The estimated cost for these critical repairs alone? A staggering $2 million. This means quite literally that half of her hard-won windfall has vanished in an instant, merely to keep out the rain from a property that, astonishingly, she does not even personally own. And this is just the beginning. Next on the list is the imperative task of rewiring the entire West Wing, a necessity driven by persistent and alarming electrical faults that pose a very real safety hazard. These are not, let us be clear, luxurious enhancements or mere aesthetic upgrades. They are absolutely essential works, critical interventions required to prevent further, catastrophic decline of the property. Reports emanating from those familiar with the situation describe the property as being in a truly shocking state, a lamentable condition for a royal residence. Whatever meager funds may remain after these most urgent and immediate repairs are completed might, at best, cover the basic running costs for a single year, perhaps if they are extremely frugal. 4.2. Some, in moments of gallows humor, even joke that Prince Andrew might one day be seen mowing the sprawling lawns himself, though those who genuinely know him dismiss such an idea as utterly fanciful and entirely out of character. The truth, as it so often is far starker, far more profound. The Duchess, Sarah Ferguson, is quite literally sacrificing her own financial future, her own long-term security, in a desperate bid to protect Prince Andrew from the very real and imminent threat of losing his home. It is an extraordinary act, a testament to a deep-seated loyalty that some might even interpret as bordering on desperation. Behind the carefully guarded scenes of the monarchy, King Charles is, by all accounts, said to be losing patience with the protracted situation. Whispers from within court circles suggest that he harbors a strong desire to see Andrew vacate Royal Lodge before the next significant coronation anniversary. The symbolism inherent in such a move is patently obvious. Smaller accommodation for a non-working royal translates directly into smaller, less sensational headlines, and ultimately fewer unwelcome distractions from the king's ambitious and modernizing agenda for the monarchy. Andrew, however, remains unyielding, steadfastly insisting that his 75-year lease is absolutely watertight, legally unassailable. Any attempt at eviction, he implies, would inevitably lead to a messy, public legal battle, a spectacle that the royal family would, understandably, much prefer to avoid at all costs. Some members of the extended family are reportedly concerned that Andrew is being treated unduly harshly, feeling a degree of sympathy for his predicament. Yet others within the inner circle feel that the king's firm stance is entirely justified, a necessary step in streamlining the institution. Into this already fraught and delicate dynamic, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, steps once more, her loyalty seemingly boundless. She has quite remarkably apparently offered to fund an entire year's worth of repairs herself, a significant financial commitment. Her hope, one can infer, is to demonstrably prove their unwavering commitment to maintaining the property, a gesture intended to persuade the king to reconsider providing some form of security support for Andrew. The answer to this extraordinary plea, however, has so far been a firm, unequivocal no. The message from the Crown is clear and unyielding. Prince Andrew must unequivocally demonstrate by the end of the current year that he possesses the financial means to fund all the necessary and ongoing works. Should he fail to do so, the Crown Estate, the body responsible for managing the monarch's inherited property, may well intervene, potentially taking decisive action. This standoff, with each passing month, becomes increasingly unsustainable, a ticking clock against the backdrop of crumbling walls and mounting bills. So, what truly lies ahead for Royal Lodge and its beleaguered inhabitants? Observers, those who meticulously track the intricate dance of royal finances and politics, predict with a growing sense of certainty that Royal Lodge will reach an undeniable crisis point within the next 18 months. The scenarios are stark. Either the roof, unable to withstand further neglect, will finally fail in a catastrophic manner, thereby forcing them to vacate the premises, or Sarah, the ever-resourceful Duchess, will need to conjure entirely new and substantial streams of income, perhaps through a flurry of new books, television appearances, or other commercial ventures. Yet her somewhat checkered financial reputation makes the consistent availability of such lucrative opportunities and their long-term viability highly uncertain. There is also the looming specter of a more drastic intervention. If funds cannot be consistently found, the king possesses the power to invoke a compulsory purchase clause, a legal mechanism that would effectively return the house to the Crown's direct ownership and necessitate the relocation of Prince Andrew elsewhere. Time, too, is a relentless adversary in this saga. A critical deadline looms. If Andrew remains in the property until 2028, he will, under the terms of his lease, lose his entitlement to a significant Crown Estate repayment of the £7.5 million he so substantially invested in refurbishments 2 decades ago. For now, Sarah presses on, her determination seemingly unwavering. She has touchingly described Royal Lodge as the last home our girls remember, a poignant reference to Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie's childhoods spent within its hallowed walls. For her, it is evidently far more than just a house. It is a powerful symbol of family continuity, a tangible link to a cherished past. She will not, it seems, let it go without an impassioned fight. If you are following this extraordinary royal saga with the same intense interest as we are, I urge you to subscribe to our channel and, crucially, to share your insightful views below in the comments section. Do you perceive Sarah's tireless efforts as a noble act of loyalty, a commendable commitment to family? Or do you perhaps view it as a futile gamble, a desperate attempt to prop up an unsustainable situation? And for that matter, which other historic royal residences might soon face similar, difficult challenges, grappling with the delicate balance between preserving priceless heritage and the harsh realities of modern practicality? Royal Lodge's peeling paint and its persistent rhythmic dripping ceilings are, as we have seen, far more than mere maintenance issues. They symbolize, with chilling clarity, the undeniable end of an era when grand palaces could be maintained without much scrutiny, their colossal costs quietly absorbed and rarely questioned by the public purse. Today, the privilege of residing in such magnificent historical properties must, with increasing urgency, be carefully balanced with a fundamental expectation of accountability. Here, within these crumbling walls, a duchess sacrifices her own financial future, a prince defiantly refuses to concede to stark reality, and a king waits, with a quiet but firm resolve, for inevitability to take its course. The house, without decisive action, will continue its slow, inexorable crumble. The bills, with each passing season, will only continue to rise. And this once glorious, almost mythical residence may yet become, sadly, a cautionary tale for future generations. The next chapter in its storied history will not be written by royal decree, nor by the romantic notion of a fairy tale, but rather by the cold, hard realities of accountants, by the practical demands of contractors, and by the unforgiving lines of balance sheets. And Sarah's $4.2 million, a substantial sum indeed, may prove to be merely a temporary reprieve in a battle that appears increasingly unwinnable. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to your thoughts and engagement in the comments below.